Hi. What's going on here? I'm in black and white. That's because I'm going to discuss black and white movies. Now, before I get to that, I want to say something about movie month. I know I said this would be the last one, but I thought of more ideas to discuss while it's still award season. So, regardless of what I said about this being the last one, never mind that. I have more things coming soon for the next few weeks. And I'm not going to say what I'm going to do, but they will be part of movie month, so I'm extending movie month. So this is movie month part 4, so there should be about 6 or 7, I think. There should be 7 um, parts to movie month. Um, but you'll see those over the next 3 weeks. So now let's get to what I planned for today. Now, you guys probably know, or if you don't know, then you should know that I have an enthusiasm for film history. I used to be kind of judgmental about black and white movies, like I would refuse to watch them because I grew up in a generation of color movies. So I watched those throughout most of my childhood and teenage years and things. And recently, or for the last few years, I started coming around to black and white ones. I still love ones in color, don't get me wrong about that, but I like a lot of black and white ones too. One of the things I like about them is the use of lighting and cinematography. I like some of the acting and writing too, um, but I'm coming around to them lately, um, like very recently, for the cinematography. I'd also like to discuss 3 movies, 2 of which were released in 1950 and one in 1951. So I'm going to be talking about those 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention them, say why I like them and what they're about, and add some like fun trivial facts and include pictures on the screen too. They will be All About Eve, Sunset Boulevard, and A Streetcar Named Desire. And I chose those 3 because each of them feature a woman in the leading role, and that's just because that's how it narrowed down. So I'm going to discuss those 3 for the segment. The first one I'm going to discuss is the 1950 drama All About Eve. What I love about this movie is that it takes place in the theater business. For those of you that don't know what it's about an aging actress named Margot Channing, um, learning that she's fading away from acting and from the business and feeling overthrown by a younger aspiring actress named Eve Harrington. And the story is engaging because of the drama and the tension between Margot and Eve. And I would recommend this movie if you're an enthusiast for the theater and what goes on off stage. Um, the movie it's based on a short story called The Wisdom of Eve by Mary Orr, but later became a musical called Applause. And it was the same story of a younger actress getting immersed into the publicity of an aging actress. And I'm not an actor, but I love the setting of a theater, including backstage. I don't know why exactly, but I just love the way dressing rooms are set up. For example, like there's at least 20 minutes of screen time in a dressing room in the movie, and I just like the art direction of it. And the reason why I like that it's in black and white is because it doesn't really need color. The it's I'd say it's a very classy movie because it takes place in the whole theater and Broadway setting of New York, and Margot's apartment is a great setting too, and it's just it looks more creative in black and white. It doesn't really use any techniques or tricks with the lighting, um, but the but I just like how it's filmed and the art direction, all those costumes and the acting is all good too, and it just feels more creative and more intimate as a black and white movie. Here's a fun fact. At the time of filming, Betty Davis, who had already won 2 Oscars by the time, and this was another nomination for her, was going through a divorce. with her husband at the time, and the the character of Margot has a bit of a raspy, deep, husky voice, and that was due to Betty Davis having burst a blood vessel in her throat by all the screaming she was doing at him. And the director Joseph Mankiewicz he thought it fit the character, and he asked her to not change it, which I also kind of like how that happens too, because that raspiness sort of, I agree, it did fit her character as aging mid 40s year old actress, um, and I like how Betty Davis played the role. The other movie I like is from the same year, and it's the Billy Wilder drama Sunset Boulevard. And I want to say that was like in competition with All About Eve um, because of a an issue I'll get to in a minute. But what I do like is how All About Eve takes place in the theater and Broadway district of New York, and across the country in Los Angeles. You have the Hollywood film industry in Sunset Boulevard. And if you haven't seen it or heard about it, Sunset Boulevard, it's also about an aging actress, but for film, who meets a writer who's going to write a role for her. She's a former silent actress, and she's trying to, bring a comeback. And I like this movie because, it takes place in the film industry. And most of the lighting is very dark because it takes place in a mansion, in a Hollywood mansion, and it's very dark, which I think helps add drama to the story because it's a very dark movie. It's like it's a film noir. It's because it's like a crime movie, and so it's considered a film noir. And the lighting and the score, the music, the original score together, the way they're placed, they were what gives the movie its dark flair. And also, William Holden is he's in it, and he plays a screenwriter, and that's um, one of my ambitious careers also. Now, here's why I say they were in competition. Because as for the Academy Awards, Gloria Swanson and Betty Davis were both nominees for the Oscar for Best Leading Actress, and they lost to Judy Holliday for the movie Born Yesterday, which I saw, and also starred William Holden. Um, and I think the reason why the Academy chose Holliday is because both Davis and Swanson gave classic performances, and it was going to be very hard to choose which one should win. And I don't exactly know what it was about Holliday's performance, but I don't doubt that she was good, um, and that there was something to help her win. But the thing is, the movie's not as recognized so much. Not a lot of people know about it because All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard are both classic, iconic movies that they've been quoted and referenced and all that stuff. And it would also have been hard to determine which lady, Davis or Swanson, would have been the runner-up because um, I guess to sort of avoid tension between the actresses or something. I don't know. They probably went with Holiday. That's my guess. I'm just assuming. Here's a fun fact for Sunset Boulevard. This is the movie where Gloria Swanson utters the famous line, "All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up," um, and it's often been misquoted and things like that. The line was actually voted number 7 by the American Film Institute, and it's just a movie line I like. That's all. The third movie I like to feature is the adaptation of the Tennessee Williams play A Streetcar Named Desire from 1951. And it's about a woman named Blanche who moves in with her sister Stella and becomes driven to insanity by Stella's husband, Stanley, or Blanche's brother in law. And this is actually one of my favorite black and white movies. I will mention that most of the screenplay was sort of butchered from the original play due to changing some elements about it. Like for example, the settings. The play only focuses. It only has scenes in the apartment and the courtyard outside it. But the movie has additional scenes like in a bowling alley, a restaurant, train station, a dock, um, or like a harbor and other places. And also the backstory on Blanche's unseen husband has drastically changed, but I won't get into that due to spoilers. Now, regardless of the differences in the play to movie process, the movie is a great example when discussing lighting and cinematography. One of my favorite techniques is the way the apartment seems to become smaller to increase the suggestion of Blanche's insanity. It's very gradual, something you really have to look at as you watch the movie and pay attention closely. And the lighting gets darker as the movie progresses, and I find that so fascinating because it's something you have to carefully focus on when watching the movie. It's a clever technique too, and it makes the movie seem more dramatic. The movie actually won an Oscar for Best Art Direction, which I think was due to the layout of the apartment and how it appears to shrink. And I'm not completely sure if that's true or not, but that's my best guess. The acting is very well done too. Vivian Lee does a great job at incorporating herself into the story. Vivian Lee actually suffered from bipolar disorder in real life, and after filming the movie, there were times when she had trouble distinguishing her own life from that of Blanche's. And with a condition like that, um, I think she knows how to incorporate herself into the character, and it's just interesting. And Carl Malden also did a good job, and he gained a reputation as not that handsome because of a big nose. But despite that, I thought he was kind of handsome. But whatever. As Mitch, he was kind of sensitive and had good chemistry with Blanche. I liked the way he played the character. His character was sweet and soft spoken, and even though Mitch was sort of best friends with Stanley, well, not best friends, but friends in a way, he was completely opposite him when it comes to personality, and I kind of like that difference in those two male characters. And Marlon Brando's character Stanley was pretty much what caused Blanche to be disoriented, and I liked how his character of Stanley was very essential to Blanche. The story would probably be very, very different if he wasn't in it. And it's interesting when we think of Marlon Brando, he was like a really, really big name. But he was back in 1951. He was just starting out, which is why Vivian Lee's name is billed above him in the credits and on the poster because she was brought onto the movie to add star power to the project, and Marlon Brando wasn't that big at the time of filming, so it's just interesting to see how he was billed under because billing is technically kind of it can be important. Um, Sometimes helps an actor's reputation and things like that, which is something I just thought interesting that Vivian Lee was billed above him. And here's a fun fact for A Streetcar Named Desire. It's the first of two movies to win three Oscars for acting. That's only happened twice, and the other because Carl Malden won, Vivian Lee and Kim Hunter won, who played Stella, and the only other movie to have done that was the Movie Network. Um, had won three Oscars for acting, which it's interesting. No, only those two movies have done that. Just trivial fact thought I'd throw out there. I can talk more about black and white movies, but I just decided to stick with those three because they each deal with females in the leading roles, which are played very, very well. But what are some of your favorite movies from the 50s or 40s or any black and white older movies? I'd love to hear what you think about some of them and about three that I just mentioned too. So yeah, leave some information down there in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next week. Remember, there's more movie month, so this was not the last movie month. I'm changing that. I'm extending it throughout February. So just wanted to say that one more time. So yeah, I'll see you soon.